Fjordur is Ark Survival Evolved's newest map. Well, kinda, because it did come out about a year ago, so it's not really new. But with this new icy expansion comes tons of new areas and biomes, and even the 3 separate realms to explore: Asgard, Jotunheim, and Vanaheim. Along with all that, the awesome new creatures, the Andrewsarchus and Desmodus, are awesome additions to the game. Notice how I didn't mention the Fjordur Hawk? There's a lot of past issues between us. Now, if you don't already know, this map functions kinda like the island. First, there are 3 mini-bosses you need to kill: Bela the Bee, Steinborn the giant rock bear thing, and Hadian Skull the twin wolves. Once you kill them, you can take their relics and use them to summon the main bosses, the Broodmother, Megapithecus, and the dragon. After you kill them, then you can fight Fenrir, the true final boss. But one more thing, this time the server wasn't hosted by me, it was hosted by my cousin, who you'll see throughout the playthrough. So a lot of the settings aren't the same as my previous video, because I can't just join him and then make him change all the settings to what I want when he's paying for it. But loot is one thing you're going to see is super buffed up, but the difficulty is also ramped up to a max level of 210. You might also notice the server date isn't the same as my day count in the video. And that's just because the server runs 24/7 and he's been playing on it for a while before we joined. But with all that said, we only have 100 days to conquer this deadly cold land, so we better get to it. Day 1. We spawned at northern Vardaland, and within seconds I'm freezing cold. I pick up a few rocks and hit some trees, but for some reason I don't make a pick. Instead I run down the beach and pick some bushes so I can make what clothes I can afford. Right after that I made a pick and Chase dropped me a torch, and we needed to meet up with Logan, and he told us he was just down the beach, so we started walking. Not too far down we found him, and apparently he found some metal tools and wooden crates and barrels along the beach. After that we made our way down the beach some more, and we found this washed up boat, and there was a bunch of barrels with loot in them. After I harvested all the barrels, I killed this Dilophosaur and skinned him so I could make the rest of my cloth clothes. But as night starts to set in, so does the freezing cold, and even with 2 campfires and our torches out, we still froze to death. Day 2. This time I spawned at Vanaland South, and I quickly got to picking bushes and making clothes. Also, yes, my team left me because they suck, so I was solo for a little while. I quickly made another pick and hatchet and used them to start making some wood buildings because I didn't want to know how cold it would get here, and I really didn't want to freeze to death again. I quickly got a roof on the house and named our tribe the Dwarves, and I made some spears and went to kill dodos. After all this, my team was back and I met up with Logan pretty quick. I made my way back up the hill and found a low-level parasaur, so I bulleted her and brutally beat her in the head with my club until she passed out. Once she tamed, I named her Jenny and whipped up a saddle for her. While I was riding Jenny back to base, I made a bow and a stockpile of arrows, so later on I can turn them into trank arrows and knock out a pteranodon. Speaking of trank arrows, I harvested a ton of bushes with Jenny and made some hide clothes. By the time I got back to the house, Chase and Logan had made a refining forge and were smelting some metal they found by a nearby river. I took some of the metal and made a smithy, which I used to craft 3 metal picks so we could go back to the river and get even more metal. Also, if you're wondering why I have so much single stacks of meat in my inventory, it's so they can all spoil at the same time. I get tons of spoiled meat. After that, I took one of the metal picks I made and I went up to the river Logan and Chase told me about and started mining all the river rocks. And if you don't know, river rocks actually give you a lot of metal compared to normal rocks. Of course, they aren't as good as real metal nodes, but this is all we have right now, so we'll have to make do. While I was doing this, I got attacked by a bunch of compies and mosquitoes, which normally would be an annoyance, but the mosquitoes are actually kind of a blessing since they give a lot of chitin. We'll need all that for pteranodon saddles. After all that shenanigans was over, I went and dumped my metal in the forge, and Logan was making narcotics in the mortar. I started off day 3 by splitting more meat to mass spoil it and learning flak armor. Now if you think this playthrough is moving a lot faster than our previous video, or just in general, then yeah, you're right. It's also because we were not working with Omen, my cousin, and his friends. We basically rooted out as one big freestyle, so whatever happens is free game. So we wanted to get set up and ready to fight them off in case anything happened as soon as possible. Anyways, I made up a few trank arrows and set out in search of a pteranodon. It didn't take me long to find a decent level 133 up by the pond above our house, so I bulleted him and knocked him out with a few arrows. Now we get to see what I was talking about when I said issues with the Fjordur hawks, and as you can see there are 3 hawks flying around me, and these things are literally impossible to hit with melee and ranged weapons because they're so fast, and if you do hit them they have crazy high health and the first hit on them does nothing, just their special ability or some BS like that. After all that, I wandered down to the grasslands and found another high-level pteranodon, so I knocked them out for one of the other guys. And as I was frolicking through the beautiful fields of Fjordur, I noticed something not so joyful and friendly. Of course, since I saw him, now he moves towards us. And I know you can't really see it, but that thing he's devouring is Logan's pteranodon. Fortunately, mine tamed up and I named him Jack D. As soon as I got back to the base, I made the saddle. After saddling up Jack D, I flew around the surrounding land to see if there was anything of interest. I didn't really expect to find much except this rune, but I also found some crystal on top of this mountain, so now we can make some spyglasses. And this very odd statue with another rune. While I was flying back home, I saw this little cave, so I flew home and picked up Logan and took him to the cave to see if we should move into it. So we flew home and I made some flak. Chase had also knocked out a pteranodon on this little island. I ran back to the house and made a hatchet, pick, and crossbow and a spyglass, and Logan knocked out another pteranodon. Our new friends, we flew home and tore down the house so we could move. I took all the structures and started to build them in the cave, while Chase and Logan took all the materials over. After I got everything placed down, I cleared all the rocks and other crap out of the cave. And since we all know pteranodons have horrible weight, we were going to need something that could carry real weight. So I went outside and whipped up a staple of all Ark playthroughs, the Captain Fat Dog RVG trap. Of course, link in the description if you want to use it. I went back to the base and Logan had everything set up, so we made tons of forges, because like I said, we have no idea when the enemy will attack. So metal buildings were going to be a good idea. Anyways, I flew back to our previous spot to get some narco bears with our parasaur, because we couldn't take her with us into the cave. Once I got home, I made some spoiled meat and made them into narcotics. The morning of day 5, I left the house to go find an RG, but I got distracted by some Deinonychus nests. There's only a level 28 egg, but I was already here, so I might as well take it. While I was running, I found another egg, this one was level 70. While I was looking for an RG, I found a level 186 snow owl. So of course I wanted to tame this guy, so I put the RG trap down and tried to tame him. But I guess snow owls are technically smaller than RGs because he flew right through it. So I tried to kill the owl, but he was too strong for Jack D, so I had to run away. Eventually I lost him and went back to get my trap, but of course I picked up the wrong piece on accident, and the whole thing disintegrated into thin air. After remaking my trap, I made my way back up the mountain and finally found a level 196 RG with some goofy colors. So I trapped him with ease and knocked him out. Of course I was going to need some prime meat. There just so happened to be a Rex slaughtering Brontos right around the corner, so I took a chunk out of the Bronto and got some. After that I made my way back to the RG and he tamed up right as the sun set on day 5. It was now day 6 and I needed to make an RG saddle, but I didn't have enough chitin. Luckily all I had to do was walk outside the cave and there was a bunch of mosquitoes flying around, so I murdered them and skinned them for their chitin. But that wasn't enough, so I flew around a bit more and found a scorpion and his girlfriend walking around, so I murdered them too. After that I flew home and made the saddle and named my RG Melly, because he was green and red like watermelon. I also went around and harvested all the rich metal rocks inside of our cave, but instead of putting it in the forges, I loaded the metal up in the RG since we were moving to our house to the waterfall cave Logan found. So we took everything out of the house and moved it to the cave, and we didn't take the wood buildings because Logan had made the metal structures from the metal we had. And if you're wondering where we got cementing paste from, well, I really don't know. I'm guessing Logan got it while I was out taming the RG. Plus you guys don't want to see that. Anyways, we've all looted beaver dams a million times, right? Anyways, got to placing down some metal floors in the super creative square shape. I also put on this sick ass tech armor skin I had from doing something special. I have no idea. By the time we got all of our buildings placed, it was day 7 and we needed some more cementing paste. So I teleported to the Asgard realm, and I guess Logan wanted to come with me because he ran into the teleport bubble.
Dude, how did it
Goddamn idiot, dude.
I wasn't even in it, bro, I swear to God.
And yes, we have cave flyers turned on because I think that not being able to fly inside the realms is complete BS. Anyways, Asgard has a river right next to Red Ob that has tons of beavers and dams. I would drop Logan next to the dam and he would grab the paste and then he would run and I would pick him up with the pteranodon. We did this with 3 or 4 dams and then teleported back home. So it's now day 8. What if I told you we were moving just one more time? Yeah, this little tiny cave was just a temporary overnight camp, and we are moving to the actual base location now. So after we packed everything up again, we found a really nice cave in the yellow forest biome. While Logan was setting up the base, I cleared out all the rocks, and once I was done with that, I ran outside and got a bunch of wood and thatch, so I could make a behemoth gateway to block off the entrance. After I placed the gate, for some reason my dumbass didn't place a second one down, but instead I went and asked Logan for some narcotics, because there's something I really wanted to tame. Also, Chase knocked out this Dimorphodon. Anyways, I left the base to go find a snow owl, and luckily I found a 189 almost instantly. So I started building the trap, but for once I actually finished it, and couldn't even find the damn thing. While I was looking, I found what I can only guess to be a snow owl trap that Omen built. When I finally did find him again, I used that same trap design as Omen, and this trap is made by someone by the name of Mgen on YouTube, as far as I could find, so I'll put a link for it. Once I did get him in, knocking him out was straightforward. Of course, I needed some prime meat, so I went and found this Diplo and hit him for 2 minutes until he died. By the time I got back, he tamed instantly, and I named her Luna. On my way home, I opened this purple drop and got a journeyman's sword out of it, even though I would probably never use it, because I hate swords. Once I got home, I saw someone had put down a second cape, thank you, and Chase put a Mastercraft saddle on Luna. I have no idea where he got this, but I'm guessing he got it from a loot drop, because that's pretty much all he does. After we got everything settled in, I started hatching one of these Deinonychus eggs I found a few days ago. While the egg was hatching, I decided to go off for a little metal run. But most of the metal locations were already wiped out from God knows what. But as I was looking, I found this cave entrance and flew in hoping I could find Omen's base or a little bit of metal. But inside the cave was basically a huge cave system with trees and animals roaming around. It kind of reminded me of the underground world on the center, which was such a cool idea. Unfortunately, I didn't find Omen's base, but I did find 2 runes and a little metal hidden in a corner. Right as I came out of the cave, there was a red drop waiting for me. Got some decent stuff. But while I was waiting, Chase told me about another place I could get some metal, so I flew over there. After I was done, I remembered a spot I used to get tons of metal at when the map first dropped. So I flew there, and of course there was tons of metal there. I also got some of this crystal. I brought all the stuff back to base and got it smelting, but one more thing we needed to get was a fabricator, so we needed some oil. So I teleported to the burning island and flew to a few of the oil fields. Of course there were 2 carches and a giga, no idea how that's even possible, but I was able to avoid them and mine some oil rocks. By the time I got home, it was the night of day 9 and I set up the oil in the forges with some hide to make gas. I started the morning of day 10 by going to Vardaland in the search of silica pearls. I knew there was a little pond that was filled with pearls, and after dispatching a few piranhas, they were all mine. After I got home, I loaded up the smithy with the oil and pearls and made a fabricator. While I was waiting for the electronics to finish crafting, I made a little side room for a generator, so if anyone were to break in, they'd have a harder time destroying our generator. Once that was done, I went and made the generator along with an outlet box and some wires and placed them down. I also made a standing light and took some gas for the generator. After all that, I got word there was an Alpha Carno terrorizing the area nearby, so I went to go find him. It didn't take me long to find him, and I was whooping his ass until his friend the Alpha Raptor showed up, and he actually hurt me much worse. It didn't take me much longer to kill the Carno, and I got away from the Raptor. I realized I got a good journeyman metal hatchet from the Carno, so sweet. But I wasn't done with the Raptor, so I headed it back and went in. This guy actually took me way longer than a Carno, which was weird, but when I killed him, I got an apprentice pick and hatchet. After that, I went home and Chase had hatched the baby Deinonychus. Logan had also made some scissors, so I cut my hair. On the morning of day 11, I teleported to the burning island again to get some organic polymer from the mantises there. But of course, as soon as I got there, the server crashes.
Bro, the server's down.
Dog.
I'm gonna die.
So after a reload, I was going up and down the beach looking for mantises. Once I had enough polymer, I was debating going into the Wyvern trench, which of course I did. So I healed up real quick and went in. For some reason, there was not a single Wyvern in this whole trench. The only reason I can think of is that when the server went down, a dino wipe happened. And now that I thought about that, I kind of feel like a piece of shit for getting an egg, because that's kind of cheating. But it's too late now. Anyways, the first 2 eggs I found were complete trash, but then I found a level 210. So I went in and grabbed the level 210 egg. I was able to make a clean escape because I already led all the wyverns away from the trench without trying. Right as I thought I had made a safe escape, I got jumped by Omen on his griffin. He chased me out of the burnt island as I think he was looking for gigas or carches in the oil fields. He followed me all the way across the island and I just happened to fly right over their base. I eventually lost him a ways away from his base and I flew home not wanting him to kill me and get my wyvern egg. After I got home, I dropped off the wyvern egg and me and Logan flew to their base. It was pretty much empty from dinos and defenses. So we went inside and opened up the smithy where the jackpot of loot was sitting. We took what we wanted and what we needed. But after that I was desperate to get out of there. As we were flying away, a massive stone base caught our eye up on the hill. For some reason had openings all over the back so we were able to just walk in. I'm guessing these bases were made before PvP was in mind. This time the smithy didn't have much on the lines of loot but had tons of materials in it. We did find the loot box a few seconds later though. After we looted that, we were done with our heist. And if you're wondering how we were able to open their smithies and storage boxes without breaking them, well, I'm just as curious as you. I'm guessing it's a setting that he had on the server and didn't know about it. The only thing we couldn't open was pin-coded structures and doors. Anyways, once we got home, I gave Logan the wyvern egg to hatch for himself since he loves fire wyverns. But I put away all our loot in a pin-coded storage box. I started off day 12 by going back to the burnt island to get some more polymer. Once I got home, our Deinonychus was at 70% maturing, and he would serve absolutely no purpose in this playthrough. In fact, I don't even think he ever left this cave. After beating the map, I'm pretty sure he's still sitting there. By this time we were able to make the industrial forge, and that's what happens when you sell your soul to this game like we have. So I picked up our basic forges and threw them away and replaced them with this behemoth. That's pretty much all that happened today. Day 13 started off by me heading to Asgard to get some more cementing paste. I hit up a few dams and then went home. Once I got home, I tore down half our base because I wanted to use the building bases on a new base. Yeah, we were moving again, and this time we were going outside, because I hate living in caves. So I put a bunch of metal in the RG and teleported to the new base spot. Here's a time-lapse of me building the house. Yeah, I didn't really make it that far because I ran out of metal. So metal run time. I went home to drop off that metal and took some out of our smithy so I could keep building. Early morning of day 14 was back to Asgard for some more cementing paste, but I had something else in mind too. After flying around for a while, I found a good level Maywing. Now I've only had a Maywing once before, but it quickly became one of my favorite tames in the whole game. And not because they're only cool creatures, but because these guys are easily one of the fastest animals in the whole game. To my knowledge at least, there's a lot of them in this game I haven't seen. Genesis. Anyways, I trapped this guy in the billboard trap and he went down super easy. Yeah. She tamed up a few minutes later and I named her Ducky after the character from Land Before Time cartoons. Just absolute bangers. But Petrie will always be on top. If you know, you know. Anyways, I teleported us back home and went to make our saddle. Logan was also starting to hatch its wyvern egg, which was going to take 2 decades. On day 15, I decided to fly into this huge dwarven cave next to our base. There was a second room, and here was some huge boxes that gave metal ingots, obsidian, and polymer, which is super great because I'm pretty sure these things respawn, and the polymer isn't going to spoil from them. After that, I went home to drop off all the resources and waiting for Logan's wyvern to hatch. Once he hatched him, we put all the fires, and this guy looked absolutely sick. He was all black, which is the best way for a fire wyvern to look, in my opinion. Once the wyvern was all under control, I grabbed some materials and flew back to Green Ob to make some cryopods. Then I went back to base again and made a harpoon launcher and some nets. To this day, I still have absolutely no idea why I made these because I never used them even once. Anyways, after that I flew to the base and grabbed the RG so I can go on another metal run. And I ended the day by taming a little Dimorphodon who had been flying around our cave forever. I really wanted to take him with us because he's just chill like that and he's always been there. I started day 16 by going to the little aberration cave near the beach. I came here to get the 2 loot crates that always spawn here, but the first one was guarded by Ravengers. I flew past the first loot crate and opened the second one in the back, and it was okay. But after leading all the Ravengers away, I was able to open the red one, and let me tell you, it probably took me 10 minutes to get all these assholes away, and this is how I got rewarded. Oh shit. Oh my god, I literally called it. Let's take a saddle. I called it. While I was flying around Vardaland, I spotted a metal gate in a cave opening, and this was indeed Omen and his tribe's base. Since he had turrets, I didn't want to mess around with it, so I decided to leave. Started day 17 by building more on the new base. Once that was all taken care of, me and Logan flew down to this little village below to harvest their vegetables. No clue why we did this, but we did. Today, me and Logan decided we want to break into Omen's base and see what they had. So I dropped all my loot and we teleported to Vardaland. Once we got there, I barrel rolled through the hole in his wall, and all his wyverns started to come at me, but I guess they just gave up. I had no idea what that was about. But I noticed that they had a Karch, which worried me since they're basically reskinned Gigas with some extra pizzazz. They had a visually nice house, but I'm not sure what they were thinking since it was covered in greenhouse and it would take me literally 30 seconds to break through it with a primitive pick. And I noticed this guy sleeping on his wyvern, so I went over and looked at him. I took his Ascendant Flak Helmet blueprint, which, yes, there's obviously very OP loot settings on this server. And we made our way into the house and found some more flak blueprints. We decided to leave after that since if they found anything missing it could easily start a war between us. And at this time we were not in the position to fight against them. Once I got back I put my gear back on and went on a huge metal run. Day 19 saw me and Logan go back to the Fire Wyvern Trench, but this time we weren't there for wyverns. We were there for Magmasaurs. The Magmasaurs are amazing metal harvesters. In fact, I think they're far superior to Ankies since they have way higher weight than Ankies. Also, if you're wondering why my owls hurt, I was looking at some Wyvern eggs, but there wasn't anything good. I healed them up on the sledge. I looked at a few eggs and got hit a few times by Magmasaur spit, and I didn't realize it, but I guess it damages your character too, not just your tame. Finally, I found a level 210 egg, which was the best one in there, and there wasn't very many nests. I tried to lead these guys away, but they just wouldn't leave the nest with the 210 in it. For some reason, I landed on the ground and got instantly killed by a Magmasaur spitball coming.
Oh!
I just got insta-killed, dog.
Shit.
My guess is this one directly hit my character. Then unfortunately, Luna didn't make it either.
Dog. Are you serious?
Oh my god.
Dude, I whistled him and bro was walking at me.
Once I respawned, I decided going to get my loot was a suicide mission, so I just decided to make it all again. While I was doing this, Logan surprised me by dropping the Magmasaur egg. He said that once I died, all the Magmasaurs swarmed my owl and were too busy devouring it, so he swooped in and stole the egg with no trouble. Started day 20 by starting to hatch the Magmasaur. Also, Logan made some turrets for our house while I was dealing with getting campfires for our egg. Since we needed to fight 3 mini-bosses in order to get to 3 main bosses, we would also need some Gigas or Karches, which Gigas take tons of narcotics, so we're going to try and make a chemistry bench. It would also help lots with making gunpowder and other substances. While I was waiting for the egg to hatch, I went back to the dwarf cave and got some more polymer from the boxes. I also flew to the silica pearl pond because we used up the last of our pearls making electronics for our chem bench. So I made it and put it next to the fabricator. I also made some flags to put around the base for decoration. Like I say, once a PvE player, always a PvE player. I also made a cooking pot for some dye. By the time all this was over, the Magmasaur was about ready to hatch. Once he did, Logan cried him up because I forgot to go get food for him. Now these guys used to only eat ambergris as babies, but they made it so they could eat sulfur too. This is great because the only way to get ambergris on this map is to swim to the bottom of the ocean and go inside of a little hole where you can mine it. Before I went to go get some sulfur, I made up a bunch of gunpowder, and Logan made a vault at some points, I guess. I guess I didn't get that on cam, my bad. I also made some red dye so I can paint the flags I made. I ended up going with this design for our tribe banner. That's pretty much all that happened today. Started off day 22 by going to the sulfur fields on the burnt island to get some sulfur for the Magmasaur. While I was flying home, I ran into Omen's new base. He basically just moved everything from the old one over. I guess he doesn't like living in caves either. Anyways, I threw out the Magmasaur and fed him the sulfur, and I named him Surtur. Which, for those who don't know, Surtur is the fire giant who destroys Asgard when Ragnarok happens in Norse mythology. Yeah, I'm a God of War fan. Shut up. I went out and grabbed some cementing paste, and once I got back I made some better flak from the blueprints we stole from Omen. Then I flew down to the pond below us and harvested a bunch of rock and wood and used it to make more behemoth gates and placed them around the base. I took a break to imprint on the Magmasaur, which goes up 3%, so I'm not even gonna bother. I started day 23 by flying to the swamp island to get some organic polymer and spoiled meat. I needed the meat for narcotics and used the polymer for a ghillie suit. I started working on a little greenhouse inside the base so it could be protected from the outside, but it didn't give any greenhouse effect to the crops. So I decided to move it to the top of the roof. This time it did give me a greenhouse bonus. I came down to the little village to try and irrigate the crops from this little stream, but this map is hella weird with the water, so it didn't work. If you don't know what I mean by that, just go onto this map and try to drink out of any body of water. I guarantee you're gonna have a hard time getting your guy to drink it. Anyways, I went back to base and started the pipes. Yeah, I know I made them out of metal. I have no idea why I did this. And I used the RG to place the pipes high up in the air and routed them all the way across this entire area. Anyways, I finally finished the pipes and placed the intake pipe in this pond that's like 3 miles away from our base. Once I got back to the greenhouse, I really started to think about it, and I guess I realized we didn't really need a farm. So I tore down the greenhouse, but I was going to use the irrigation to irrigate something else. So don't worry, I didn't just do all that for no reason. On day 24, I went out and got a few narco berries on the parasaur and made some trank arrows. Then I made a trap for another snow owl since my old one got incinerated. Right once I left, I saw a yellow drop, and since I can't steal everything from Omen, I went and opened it up to find an Ascendant Longneck blueprint. And damn, that boy was expensive, so I think I'm gonna pass. While I was flying around, I found a Phiomia, which I would need for the farm, since if you feed them stimberries, you'll have infinite diarrhea for your crops. So I bulleted him and knocked him out, and he tamed very quickly since he's a literal hog and devoured all the food I gave him. Now you have to believe me when I say I flew around for hours looking for a high level and there's literally nothing. So I had to settle for this level 126. Put down the trap and eventually got them in. These guys are 100% the worst dino to try and trap. Started day 25 by making a feeding trough and filling it up so I didn't have to feed my dinos individually. I also ran outside our gates and harvested up some honey. Now on this map, honey is super easy to get since you can get it from these rocks. Future Ark developers, take some notes. Nobody likes dealing with beehives. But I was going to use this honey along with some gilly I made earlier to tame an Andrewsarchus. The Andrewsarchus are pretty annoying to tame, but once you do it a few times, it's really not that bad. Unless you're in a dangerous area, then just give up, because if these guys take 1 ounce of damage, taming will reset. Anyways, I rode this dude around until his rage meter built up too much, then he'd get off and repeat, and over again. And then he flew off a cliff. Once I got home, I saw Chase was taming his stego, so we'd have something to harvest berries with. I made up the Andrews saddle, which is an awesome saddle because it protects the rider from everything. Even you can breathe underwater in it, any dino attack, even if it's meant to hit the rider. Microraptors, poison gas in the poison caves, radiation even. You're basically invincible when you're riding this thing. Anyways, I saddled him up and went on a murder spree to level him up. Unfortunately, these guys definitely got nerfed since I used them last when the map first came out. I also flew over to the swamp island to get some plant species X seeds, and I grabbed this rune. I put the crop plots around the roof and used snow owl pellets to fertilize them, since snow owl pellets are just as good as actual fertilizer. Day 26 started off by Chase dropping me an amazing Ascendant crossbow blueprint he got from the Aberration loot crates. Of course I made it, and I found this off a Carnor right next to the base, so I decided to try and kill it. I started by unloading tons of arrows into him with his crazy new crossbow, but I left that spot to make more arrows and he ended up escaping. But I remembered I had a special mission I needed the Andrewsarchus to help me with, so I threw him out to kill the Carno. First I grabbed this rune to boost the XP and I got 3 levels for my guys and 29 levels for the Andrew. Once I got home I cooked up all that alpha meat and the shiny new grill Logan and Chase made, once again while I was offline. I used all the meat to make an inflatable Rex skin since the summer event was going on while we were making this video. Day 27 started off with me teleporting to Asgard. Once I got there I found the cave. And I remember when I was telling you about the Andrew's ability to keep the rider safe from all damage. Well, I was about to come in clutch because this is the Rock Drake cave and it's filled with radiation. But I forgot the Andrew was on half health from me leveling it, so I went back and got the Snow Owl to heal him. After that I went in and all was good. I wasn't taking any damage from the radiation and neither was the Andrew. First egg I checked was garbage, so I moved farther back and had to give this Rock Drake the business. The second egg was crazy high level, so I hopped off and burned alive for a few seconds to grab the egg, and then I was out of there. God damn it! Oh!
Don't look like how you like Larry.
Come
I
on!
like him.
Run!
Bro, oh my god.
Yeah!
Are you good, Dylan?
Anyways, I teleported out of there and made a pit stop in the Aberration cave to get some nameless venom for the Drake. Once I made it home, I set up the electronics so I can make an egg incubator, since rock drake eggs are absolutely horrible to hatch with air cons. Also, Logan's Wyvern was almost fully grown, which is why Logan hasn't been mentioned much in this video for a while, since he's been sitting, staring, and petting this dragon for the last few days, waiting for it to grow up. So we can use it a total of 6 times since we have Maywings. Anyways, I went off to get some more polymer from the swamp to finish the incubator, and once I got home, I dyed my suit red while I was waiting for the electronics to finish. I put the egg in there and it required a negative 85 degrees to hatch. And I believe degrees on this thing are in Celsius, which for my American friends is about negative 121 degrees. And a damn egg needed that to hatch. Started off the day by making a fridge so we could put all our spoilable items in there. Me and Logan decided to go back to the Fire Wyvern trench to get some more eggs. We looked around for a while, but there was nothing good, so we just settled on a level 133, which I grabbed, and a level 126, which Logan got. Once we got back, I threw the egg in the incubator and waited for a minute for my Drake to finish hatching. I hatched him and gave him some venom, then I brought him outside and named him Rocky. Really creative, I know. We started day 29 by taking this little trip over to Omen's base to scout what they had since they were offline at the moment. Unfortunately, Chase got shot a few times by their turrets and Ducky decided to jump into the middle of their base to protect them. Omen's Scarsh didn't take too kindly to this and brutally devoured poor little Ducky right in front of all of us. Now I was pissed off and I declared war on Omen's tribe for this. We had to leave empty-handed since we didn't have the firepower to break into this base or deal with any of his tames. So Chase brought me the snow owl and we went home. Once I got home, I saw Chase hatched his wyvern. We only ended up with one egg because apparently the one Logan grabbed spoiled. Also, Logan named his wyvern Fatalis, and if anyone knows what Fatalis is from, then write it in the comments and I'll pin you. Started off day 30 by imprinting on Rocky. He was going up a steep 14% per imprint, which was double what the wyverns were doing. Anyways, I teleported to Asgard with Snow Owl to get some more cementing paste, and once I was done with that, I spotted this beautiful level 210 Maywing. And right as I approached him, he got scared and flew off. I guess I really am just that damn ugly. I made up some billboard signs and trapped him in and shot him. But he had a different idea and jumped right out. So instead of trapping him, I just chased after him with Snow Owl and shot him a few times once he lost aggro. It only took me 3 arrows to knock him out, and there was a sheep right next to him. Beautiful when this game works out, isn't it? Once he tamed up, I named him Torrent, and when I got home, Chase told me about a pump shotgun blueprint he'd gotten from the Aberration loot crates. While it wasn't an amazing shotgun, it was very, very expensive. We had the metal and cementing paste, only polymer was an issue. So like any other time we have a problem that requires extensive grinding, we told Chase to do it. And day 31 started off with me and Logan picking up a turret and some ammo for it along with our generator. Our plan was to go to the lightning wyvern trench to get some more eggs. If you ever gotten wyvern eggs before, you know how terrible the lightning ones are since they have incredible range with their breath and you can't dodge it. So this trench is basically hell in Ark. As soon as we got there, I started setting up the building, but for some reason I forgot 80% of the walls, so I had to change it to be a 1x1 hut. Once it was done, a wyvern volunteered to test it out, and let's just say it took more than we thought it would. Probably because we've always used 2 turrets, and this time we only decided to bring 1. But anyways, I went back to bring some of them out, and literally the turret got immediately destroyed. But Logan went in there and let them all out. And after those wyverns left, we made it to the actual trench and found a level 133 egg, but we wanted better, so I went further back. But there was 2 wyverns waiting for me, so I tried to run. I didn't make it very far. I respawned at the base and teleported back to the Pteranodon, but it ended the same way. Goodbye to all my loot. After taking a little break, I remade all my loot and made another generator since the old one got blown up. I also made this shotgun blueprint Chase got, which was cheaper and had higher damage than the old blueprint, but had much worse durability. Logan's wyvern finally finished maturing too, and this would have been a great help in that wyvern trench. I also made up a bunch of shotgun shells for my new shotgun since there was a giga we needed to kill. We flew over to him and started killing him. We used a combo of Logan's fire breath and me and Chase's guns to take him down, and it went down easy. By the time we were done with all this, it was day 34 and Surtur and Rocky were done maturing. Of course I needed red gems to make the rock trick saddle, so back to the Aberration cave for me. Once I got home I made the saddle and I was able to ride Rocky. Logan told me that he found a level 189 giga in the oil fields, so I got to farming up a bunch of narcoberries with Stego. I had a ton of spoiled meat left over from getting organic polymer from the rotten animals in the swamp, so I was able to make tons of narcos. I also made up the classic giga trap with a metal dino gateways and bear traps. I always use 5 gates because I suck. Anyways, once I made the trap, I flew Rocky down to the oil fields and trapped this guy. Totally didn't take me 5 minutes to trap him that I cut out of the video, but once he was trapped, I left Chase and Logan to start knocking him out and went searching for mutton. Finally, I found this orange sheep near our base and slaughtered him. I got back to the Giga and we got to work knocking him out.
Okay, oh, he's out,
Oh, he's out!
Yo.
Woo! Once he finally tamed, I grabbed the gates and Logan crowded him up. Once I got home, I made up a saddle for the Giga and tested him out on a dummy. Oh my god. Yeah, he's pretty strong. After that, I went on a murder spree with the Giga and I cooked up all the prime meat I got and remade my inflatable Rex costume since I lost my old one in the trench. Started off day 35 by crafting a bunch of shotgun shells and grabbing a very strong metal shield. Our plan was to attack Omen's base. We didn't know what we wanted or what we were gonna do, but we just wanted to fight him and I wanted revenge for Ducky. I cryoed Surtur since he can shoot magma rocks at the cost of metal ingots and that can slightly damage metal structures, and Logan cryoed the Giga, who since I had named Muscle Mommy. Now, I don't claim to know anything about PvP because we are 100% pure PvE players and we've never done PvP. So all you PvP guys, please leave me alone in the comments. Once I got to his base, I uncrowded Surtur and shot a few magma rocks at his house. The turret protecting this side was already drained of ammo for some reason, so we were safe. And Omen was completely oblivious to this happening since he was too busy healing something with a snow owl. While he was busy with that, I made my way over to the opposite side of his base and tried shooting magma rocks, but this time the turret shot them down. So I put all my gear in Surtur and dropped down to try and soak the turret with my metal shield. Every once in a while a few bullets would hit me instead of the shield, so I ended up dying. Once I respawned, I was greeted by our Giga dying. I guess our Giga managed to kill their Karch, but she died right after. So I flew back and got my stuff and quickly crowd Surtur. I feel like we sent the message and Guy got my revenge for Ducky, but we also feel bad since it was a 3v1 and he was our friend, so I didn't want to be that much of an asshole. On day 36 I started breeding these Rexes that Chase tamed while I was offline. Yeah, sorry, I don't have the footage for it, but to be honest with yourself, we've all tamed Rexes hundreds of times, so do you really need to see it? I also made a Karch saddle because Omen needed one for his new Karch he tamed since he wasn't high enough level to make it. And we made an agreement with him that I would give him the saddle and he would give me a really good pump action shotgun he found. And then we would have peace between us. We did this because Omen's friends pretty much abandoned him and 3v1ing him again wouldn't really be fun, so I pulled up to his house and gave him the saddle and he gave me the shotgun and we shook on peace. While I was flying by I saw this blue Giga who was low level, so I built the trap so we could kill him, and while I tried to lead him to the trap, Torrent got stuck by my own bear trap and got devoured by the Giga in front of us.
Yeah, oh yeah.
While the Giga was stuck in the gates, we unleashed hell onto him. He got out and chased me into the ocean. I shot at him from the beach while the others stayed on the cliff and shot down.
Oh! Okay, finished him off.
I got the final hit and avenged Torrent, my second Maywing in 20 days. On day 38 I was in Asgard when I found a new level 196 Maywing, so I trapped him and tamed him. I named this one Coral Blue 42, which if anyone knows what that's a reference to, then put it in the comments. I would be very happy if someone knows this. But while I was flying home, I found this treasure chest in the middle of the grasslands. So I opened it up and it contained a very good fur hat blueprint and a Ravager saddle blueprint. Hey, so this is Dylan from the future, and I didn't realize this until I already wrote and voiced the script, but obviously I have the tech replicator learned here, and I haven't killed any bosses. That's because Omen accidentally put auto engrams on when he was trying to change something, and once you load the server with auto engrams enabled, you automatically learn everything, and you can't unlearn them. Don't worry though, I obviously am not going to make any tech until I beat the bosses fair and square, so just kind of sucks, I guess. Today was hatching day and I hatched 5 Rexes out of the 10. I don't really care about getting perfect parents, which I don't think I needed, or getting any mutations. I don't think I needed them either. So here's an imprinting time lapse. Towards the end of day 40, I was down at the beach trying to get some sap. Now you can get sap from certain trees around the map here, or you could plop a sap top into a redwood and wait hours for a stack of 20 sap to do it all again. Once again, take some notes, Ark map devs. Anyways, I got this sap because I needed to make absorbent substrate for the gas masks, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna go into that underwater abyss that's full of Moses and Tusos to get substrate. And if you're wondering where the black pearls came from, apparently Logan got them when we were in the Magmasaur cave. Yeah, while I was burning alive, this dude was swooping in and out grabbing black pearls like it was no big deal. Anyways, I made up 8 gas masks in case all 4 of us decided to go into the cave. I started off day 41 by making a basic trap because I needed to tame a caving creature, and the one I had in mind would come in handy for almost all the caves and something I almost never tamed, the Megatherium. But I came over to Vardaland to search the snow for one and I found an almost max level one immediately. So I threw down the trap, and since I'm so good at Ark, I got him in first try. Tranking him out was easy, even though he got a little low. But right after that, I turned around and there was another level 203 right there. So I picked up the trap and placed it next to the other one, since I might as well tame him since he's right here. And boom, I got him in first try again, dude. I'm 2 for 2. I bet nobody here can do that. Anyways, I knocked him out just as easy and found this Bronto in the snow for some reason, so I killed him first prime. Once I fed them, the first one tamed pretty quickly, and I named him Harry Beefcake, which I just noticed I spelt Harry as in Harry the name, not Harry like your hair. Anyways, the other one tamed up a little while later, and I named him Cowman. Once I got home, I uncrowded the Megatheriums and saw the Rexes finished maturing. I also realized that we have 2 really good Megatherium saddles, which would come in handy for caves. I started off day 42 in the Aberration Cave and got this absolutely stacked loot crate. The shotgun was worse than the one Omen gave me, but the Basilo saddle would 100% come in clutch later on when I have to do underwater stuff. And that was pretty much everything that happened that day. Now it was day 45 and I found a super low level Karch. The last 3 days were spent killing low level Gigas and Karches trying to get a high level to spawn, and that translates to about 7 hours real time. So I was pretty much fed up at this point. This Karch was gonna have to do, or at least be a start. So I uncrowded a baby Rex I had hatched and killed it so I could feed to the Karch, since baby Rexes will instantly fill the friendship meter on these guys. I went around absolutely massacring everything in my path, and luckily there was tons of large creatures around for me to kill. So he tamed up super quick. Once I got home, I made a saddle and tested him out. He was pretty pathetic, to say the least. On day 46, I made scuba gear, and me and Logan headed to the ocean and tame a Basilo. We went to the far right side because that's where they mostly spawn, in my experience. I found one stuck in this tiny stream, but he sucked, and I was swimming down the side of the map when I saw one that Logan missed because he was in a crevice. He was level 140, and since I had a super high armor saddle I thought this guy would do fine. So I jumped in the water and killed all the manas with my pike, which was not a good idea because my armor was absolutely destroyed. But we needed some taming food, so we killed this big ass whale and got some prime fish. But when I fed the prime to him, it only went up a little bit, so we decided to come and kill this alpha raptor to get normal prime. Oh shit. Oh no!
Oh my god. Are you stuck in there? Here, I'll get his attention. Run, Billy. Oh my god, he's still after you. Alright. Dude, why does he want you so much?
No, my gear!
Okay, hold up. Dude, why does...
I escaped,
Alright, I think I got him.
Dude, there's like a huge crack that I fell down. My game just crashed.
Oh my god.
This game is so shitty, bro. I swear, I can't have anything.
Bro, how your game crashed?
Oh, I literally ran up the hill. By the time I loaded back in, the raptor was low, so I took him out with my bow. And the Basilo tamed fast because it had been so long since we last fed him. On day 47, I was flying around the grasslands and I found a level 133 Karch. This one was opposite gender to Omen's max level Karch, so I thought if I tamed this guy I could breed the 2 together and make super strong imprinted babies. So I just repeated the steps and fed him a baby Rex and hopped on. He took a lot longer to tame than the one, obviously, but I got it done. On the morning of day 48, I decided it was time to tackle our first cave and get the artifact of the Devourer. And the artifact of the Devourer is in an underwater cave that's filled with high-level megalodons, jellyfish, eels, and donkeys. But I wasn't too worried about all this because the cave is pretty short and basilos are the kings of underwater tanking. As soon as I threw my basilo out and swam 30 feet, I got jumped by like 10 megalodons. Welcome to Fjordur's Ocean. So I killed all of them and got almost 40 levels. I killed a few megalodons that were in the entrance and kept progressing through the cave, killing off the handfuls of megs and eels that would come at me. But when I finally got to the spot that the artifact was supposed to be, of course there was no artifact. So I was forced to leave empty-handed. Once I left, I went back in like an idiot, hoping if I reload the cave, maybe the artifact would spawn. But on my way back, I pissed off a donkey, and that caused all the donkeys in the cave to get mad, and there's no way in hell I could kill all of them because they are like 100,000 health tanks. And if things couldn't get any worse, right as I left, an alpha meg spawned and started chasing me. I tried to run and cryo him, but this happened. Stupid fucking goddamn shitty ass game. Are you fucking kidding me right now? Look at this! Okay, well my whale's dead. Luckily my whale could tank all this and he survived. My reward was a ramshacky axe. On day 49, I cheated. But I cheated to force my way into Omen's tribe because their tribe leader deserted them, so he couldn't merge the tribes without him. So I just joined them with some codes and converted all of our stuff to their tribe using some more codes. After I got all that sorted out, I brought my Karch over to Omen's base and bred him with my Karch. I ended up making 3 eggs and started hatching them in my incubator, and I also bred Omen's Rexes together to get the remaining 5 eggs I needed, because his tech Rexes were so much stronger than our base Rexes. Once I had all the eggs, I dropped them in the incubator with the Karch eggs, and we dispatched of our old Karch. That was a
I feel
horrible
bad.
noise. On day 50, I hatched up the carch eggs as they were finally done incubating, and let me just say, these guys look retarded as little babies. After a while, I imprinted on them, and while I was on the process of raising babies, I thought I might as well hatch up the remaining Rex eggs. After all that was over, I decided to come back to the Devourer cave and see if it would spawn in for me this time. Surely if everything in the cave respawned, the artifact would be there too, right? Nope. So I spawned it in and put it down on a pedestal. Now, I don't like using cheat codes in this game, but sometimes the game cheats you and it really pisses me off, so you really have no choice but to cheat, or you just literally couldn't beat the game. After I got the artifact, I logged off for the night and let the babies mature all night. But what a surprise I was in for, because they all starved to death other than 2 carches and 1 Rex. So I was back to Omen's base to get some more Rex eggs. Once I got the last egg I needed, I thought it might as well be a good time to find our first mini-boss, Bela the Bee. So I crowded our 2 imprinted carches and left for her cave. And the mini-bosses on this map are no joke, but Bela is by far the easiest. Once I got there, I headed in on foot and uncrowded the first carch to help me clear the cave. After a quick trip home and back, my cryo sickness was gone, so I uncrowded the second carch and threw my rune stones in the terminal, and we got to work. The carches were killing her about as fast as I had expected, and she was doing hardly any damage to them. So after around 5 minutes, Bela the Bee was defeated. This was the loot I got, and it was really good stuff for normal settings, but the bosses for some reason don't drop boosted loot based on your settings, so this stuff just couldn't compete with the loot we already had. But the chainsaw would be super helpful down the road. Oh, and we got a little bit of element too, I forgot about that. On day 53, I hatched 4 more Rexes to replace the ones that starved. If these guys survive, then the whole boss army will be raised and just need to be leveled. While I was waiting for my Rexes to mature, I crowded all of Omen's Rexes so I could take them to the boss terminal. The first boss we were fighting is the Megapithecus, or giant monkey, whichever you prefer to call it. And his terminal is located in the Aberration Cave. Since I had Chase raising the baby Rexes, I used this time to go hunting for some Apex drops. After all that, I had all the drops we needed to fight the monkey other than Megalania Toxin. Chase was a big help during all this because he was getting Spinosaurs and Thylaclaws. But in order to get the Megalania Toxin, I had to go underwater to this cave that was filled with Megalania. I also found this gas collector Omen put down here, so I grabbed some congealed gas balls in case I ever needed them. Spoiler alert, I didn't. By the time I got home, it was day 54, and today we're going to fight Hattie and Skull. Now, Hattie and Skull, in my opinion, are the hardest of the 3 mini-bosses, which is mainly because one of them is a fire wolf who does burn damage similar to the dragon. They also spawn in Fenrir wolves, which are basically just buffed up dire wolves, and dire wolves are already strong enough. Our plan is to have me and Chase each take on a wolf separately, and once one wolf dies, the other person comes in to help. Of course, that didn't go to plan, but we killed the fire wolf pretty quick, and since he has lower health, now we can move on to the other wolf. The loot we got was really good once again, but it just couldn't compete with what we already had. Since we needed Steinborn's relic to fight the monkey, we needed to kill him next. The only problem is Steinborn's located in Jotunheim, which is on average negative 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Luckily I got that OP fur hat blueprint from the chest I found a while ago, so I grabbed my chainsaw and went to the top for some mammoths. Of course Logan's Wyvern was too weak to carry all of it, so I had to return to get the RNG because he has a lot of weight. Once I had enough, I went home and made 2 hats. I also made us a set of primitive fur. And just in case the fur wasn't enough to keep us warm, I made some emergency Freya curry and Chase made a cryo fridge. Also, Logan joined us right in the middle of all this, so Chase went out and got some more fur, and I made him a hat so he could go to Jotunheim with us. After that, we teleported to Jotunheim and made our way towards his cave. Once we got there, I took Rocky into the cave and uncryoed the carches. I did bring Omen's 2 carches, so we waited and threw them down too. And we pretty much destroyed this guy, but the weaker carches did almost die since they're not imprinted.
Alright, that's a wrap.
Alright, what did I get? 30 element, damn. Mastercraft mining drill.
Hold on. Nobody take anything. I wanna, damn, that's some dog ass loot.
The loot was pretty bad this time, other than a Mastercraft mining drill. Then we left right after that. On day 56, I crowded the Megatheriums because it was time to do the Swamp Cave for the Artifact of the Brute. The plan was me and Chase would ride the Megatheriums and Logan would ride the Andrewsarchus. And since this cave is poisonous, we'd have to wear gas masks. Once we got in there, we went right inside and immediately got attacked by Desmodus.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. There you go. Oh my god, why is there so many? Get him, Logan. You can't get picked off that.
Trying, bro. Alright. Here, hold up. I'm gonna test this real quick. I wanna see if I take damage.
Jeez.
I do
I
not.
don't think you do.
I'm chilling, guys. I don't have to wear that thing.
After that, we made it to the main room and cleared it out, and we decided to go straight because we couldn't go the other way without cryopotting our mounts. And this way led us right to the artifact. And now I understand why the artifact of the Devourer wasn't spawning. I don't know if this is a bug with the game or something wrong with the server settings, but I've literally never seen this before in 3,000 hours of Ark. Once I got home, I made the pedestal for the artifact. On day 57, I grabbed some Gillian or Andrewsarchus and I left for the lava cave. This cave is a little bit more difficult than the previous 2, but it pays out well because you get 2 artifacts instead of just 1. You get the Pack and the Clever. The beginning of this cave starts as a parkour cave, and I did as much of it as I could without using the grapples, but I used them to get to across the last part. Once I got to the end, I threw out the Andrew and cleared out the main room. The only problem was there was tons of bats in here. They are all level 280 plus and into the 400s. I tried my best to clear them out with the Andrewsarchus, but he just got so low that I left to go get my rock drake. Oh. He was a good tame and I will remember him. Once I got into the artifact room, I cleared out all the mobs, but when I say there were hundreds of bats in there, I'm not exaggerating at all. I thought I could use the cloak on the rock drake to sneak past them, but if I got off to grab the artifact, all the bats would immediately be aggroed on me and I'd probably get killed instantly. So I started killing all the bats off, and you can see some of them are literally doing over 100 damage a hit, which is just insane. Once I got through them, my drip was below half, and that wasn't even half the bats done. So I started killing them one by one with my hand weapons. Finally, after like 10 minutes, I got through all of them and got the artifact. 1 down, 1 more to go. I went into the next room and saw that it was just as infested with bats and arthros as the last one, so I returned home and crowded my carch. I went in a little ways and threw down the carch and absolutely annihilated everything that was sitting in here. And yeah, the multiple artifact thing is happening here too. And that was it. Now we had everything we needed to fight the monkey boss. I ended today by putting all the artifacts in their rightful place and cryoing all my Rexes and putting them at the boss terminal. I also ran to Omen's base and crowded his Yudi to use it in the fight. You didn't think I was dumb enough to attempt the boss without a Yudi, did you? It was day 58 and apparently Chase got a rock trick, and I'm kinda jealous because it looks a lot cooler than mine. No idea where he got this from, but he has it. But instead of fighting the boss today, I'm gonna do a cave while I wait for the Rexes to heal up from their leveling. So I grabbed Hairy Beefcake to help me through and made a bunch more shotgun shells and grapple since I used them all in the last cave. Today we're going for the artifact of the Hunter, which is not required for the monkey, but we do need it for the Broodmother. Once I arrived at the Skyrim cave, I ran in on foot and jumped down this tube. I was greeted by a blue crate with some junk in it, and I broke through this rock to get to the actual cave. I went up and got this yellow drop and got a good sickle and wood shotgun blueprint out of it. Neither of them I would make. I dropped down this waterfall and grappled to this island, and I got knocked off by a Sarco into the piranha-infested water. I got back up and grappled to the artifact. After that I grappled out of there and used Beefcake to fight our way out. While I was flying around, I heard that Omen and Chase were knocking out a Giga, so I killed this Ovis that was perfectly placed right as they said that. I helped them knock him out and spared the mutton and some narcotics to keep him asleep, since I'm probably never going to use these anyways. Hey!
He's down.
After that I left and went home to grab the artifacts and tributes for the boss, and I brought them to the terminal. That's right, it's time to face our first boss, the Alpha Megapithecus. So I loaded up the tributes and me, Chase, and Omen were off to the snowy peaks for the fight.